Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Coriolis rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Strong language, powerful factions, and adventures across the third horizon await. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am your storyteller, Michael Diamond. My pronouns are he, him, and we are back with Children of the Periphery as we continue our story in the third horizon. And so at the top of the show, as we like to do, we'd like to thank you, the listener, and especially you, the Patreon supporter. If you haven't had a chance to check out what we have to offer, you can at patreon.com/the Old Ways podcast. Join well over 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel and see all of our visual fun that we're going to continue to have. And I'll just say before this episode, shenanigans, they are afoot. I'll start with introduction order now. To my right.
This is Morgan, and I play Captain Amara Castra of the ship Sky Skimmer. Wink, wink. And our pronouns are she, her.
Indeed. She's out there, skimming your skies. Next to Captain Kazra.
Hi, this is Allie, and I play Kainat Gala. Our pronouns are she, her. I renamed a ship, and I got the box open at the disadvantage of our engineer.
Well, the end certainly will justify your order's needs, right? At the end of the table.
Hi, this is John. I'll be playing Fida, the ship's engineer, who was exploited by Kaina. We both use the he, him pronouns, and I've got nothing to worry about. Oh wait, my body's covered in ink that wasn't there before. That's great.
Oops, all tattoos. On Fida's right.
Hi, this is Rena. I play Tamarisk Anvari, our ship's courtesan. Our pronouns are they, them, and I'm another day older and deeper in debt.
Ain't that the truth? And last but most certainly not least.
Hello there. I am Rosie of Odd Duck Dice, and I am playing Icarus. Our pronouns are she, her, and she is the pilot of the Periphery. And we're going to see if it's good to be home or not.
Yeah, I think, sort of leave it up in the air. When last we left our intrepid, adventurous crew, they were just blasting through a helpful interdiction that several other nomad vessels had put up in front of some pretty terrifying battleships that they'd seen before. This useful blocking lane allowed Icarus to pilot the now newly dubbed Sky Skimmer towards Kua. Say sort of make breakneck speed for the planet to get away from several very large battleships. Kua is this green-blue marble set against the darkness of space. It arrives way faster than most of you are prepared for. The nice part is that once you get past the large majority of ships who have to stay far enough away from the planet to not get pulled in by its gravitational pull, you have a little bit of time to gather up. And so we'll begin this episode with the crew in the galley surrounding this large table there. A purple holographic Rakam relaxes next to Icarus in a chair as the crew tries to come up with a plan to deal with what comes next. So, crew, what's the plan?
We think that our best bet to kind of figure out our next steps and how to exist with, what's going on up in space might be in the quarters of our now deceased strong-arming patron. But yes, we think our best bet is in her estate, which is probably, we don't know if it's sealed off or not. We suspect it is. We do remember the security it had when she was alive. That's something Fida is certainly worried about.
Well, thinking about that, I mean, the ship was hers or belonged to her group. So if none of that has been changed yet, we might be able to go in, at least draw less attention but I don't know if we want to immediately try to land on the monolith. Just putting that out there, but I will land wherever you guys, I will do the thing.
Where's your suggestion for us to land, Icarus?
Somewhere a little bit more out, just so that we can get the lay of the land. For all we know, Marhoun's just been walking around the entire time and we had no idea. For all we know, they might know we're coming. We don't know.
I don't think she's walking around, considering what we saw. I really, really don't think that.
Paranoia will keep you alive. She might not actually be dead. At least you'll be prepared.
Right.
Okay, well, all that aside, if we land on the outskirts, how are we getting to the monolith? We're not walking. No, I'm not walking.
You would know that in the metro areas, especially around the monolith itself, public transportation is fairly decent. Some of the, we'll just say less fortunate spaces maybe have spottier traffic or 2 and 4. The problem is that the monolith's just huge. And so the tactical problem that you'll find when it comes to getting to Marhoun's estate through just trying to walk into the base of the monolith and find your way up from there would be dramatic. It would be a Star Warsian level of problems. Lots of people, lots of troops, lots of things, right?
I would very much like us to get on the ground and get some information before we try to infiltrate. Simply because we don't know any of the situation on Kua at the moment. So just going to the monolith and landing there seems like a good way to die.
All of this sounds like a good way to die.
Maybe not die. Maybe we'll be taken into custody and never see the light of day again.
What section of the monolith is Marhoun's estate on?
As far as I recall, it was the upper levels because she was very important and we were basically up near the clouds when we were meeting her.
That is correct.
But no, I think that's absolutely a thing where it's like, has somebody moved in? Do we know if people are kind of taking possession of that? But I'm also kind of like, well, I mean, yeah, the people down below might know, but would they... Maybe there's some cleaning staff member that knows who took over the rights.
I think landing somewhere on Kua and going around looking for information isn't going to do as much good, if I'm being completely honest, because I don't see how the normal, ordinary people are going to know anything about what the situation is with Marhoun, or what's going on in the upper echelons of the monolith. Just being completely honest, I don't think it's going to help us all that much, and it'll just give us difficulty getting into the monolith. I think our best bet is just going in.
I agree with that assessment. Because if we start at the bottom, we have to make our way past the secret police. In some way, shape, or form.
That is fair. That's a good point. Just don't like it.
Like, this is a genuine question. Because we changed our registry, will we even be able to dock? Presumably there's a flight control for the monolith.
Oh yeah, there is 100%. So I think what I'd like is a wits technology roll. All of you can potentially make it. Those of you who have this, it's going to be 3 successes required, but anyone can make this roll. You could also choose someone to make the roll and then allow someone to assist them making the roll. So assists go first, and then provided you get 1 success, you will hand that die to the person making the roll. Depends on how the crew wants to do it.
I think it makes more sense for someone to give an assist, since we have 2 techie people and some very not techie people.
I will give the assist. Ali, I trust you to do the actual roll.
Make this roll.
No successes.
Okay. So no assist there.
Is anybody else assisting me, or is it just John?
I think it was just John.
Oh, thanks, guys.
And you were lucky that John assisted you, especially after you forced him to have a bunch of tattoos.
All right, well, I have to give you a darkness point because I only have 2 successes. So,
Okay.
oh, that's helpful. Now I have 4 successes.
So you get plugged into some of the sensor data and some of the local area network information of the monolith. And you come up with a couple of very key information points. 1, the estate does not appear to have any local traffic running currently. You don't see any ships that are coming in. You don't see any other ships berthed there currently. So that's positive, at least in some way. But you also see that it looks like the estate is dark on sensors. So you don't know if there's already a ship sitting in there and just no one's telling anybody anything. Second point that you get with your additional success when you overcome the threshold by 1. There is, it appears, from some of the data that's available to you, it does appear that you'd have the opportunity to align your arrival with the path of the Kua system's sun shining on that location. So you could essentially, if piloted correctly, line up with the sun, and then anybody who might be in any sort of adjacent villas or areas would have a much more difficult time seeing you arrive.
Well, Icarus, do you think you can do it?
Only one way to find out. Okay, so I'm assuming that's going to be a piloting role.
Yeah, it'll require you going to the bridge.
Yeah, she slams back her coffee, gets up, and gets ready to head out, turns back to Rakam and says, I'm sorry, none of us asked you what you actually thought.
Nope.
What do you think?
That's pretty common for a program, just so you're aware.
I'm trying here, buddy.
What do I want? I want to get to the bottom of this. I want to know why it happened. I've done some of my own digging that Alsteer she's got a past. There are a record 74 people that have gone missing under her interrogation. So I want you all to be careful. I don't think that blockade will last very long. Whatever you find, if we can get into the estate, get it quick. It sort of dematerializes.
Thank you for the input. Okay. Sort of finger guns at the rest of the crew and says, I'm going to go try to fly into the sun now.
Okay, so for this flight maneuver, to line it up is going to be one thing. So I'll just say that it is a difficulty 2 challenge, meaning you'll need 2 successes to meet it. The complication that I'm going to add in is, depending upon any successes you get over to, will deduct dice from any potential sensors roll made at you. So the more hits you get, the harder you are to read.
And just a reminder that our ship has a signature profile of 2, basically where it's that little bit easier to detect.
Yeah. You're very stylish. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I'm also going to hand you a darkness point there, Mike. Enjoy.
Okay.
I promise that was worth it because I now have a total of 5 successes.
Okay. 5 successes. So you net 3, and that'll sort of help offset some of the more signature specials that your ship has. You fly in at, I guess, not at breakneck speed by any means, but you're going to head towards the berth as if it was a normal situation and you're supposed to be here. The doors to the docking bay are shut. So it's going to take someone with datagen to hack those doors open. Who is doing that?
The only person with datagen, that would be me. I'm hacking doors. All right. I imagine I'm rolling with datagen.
With datagen?
Okay. Do I still only need 1 success?
Yeah, you need at least 1 success.
I got 1 success.
Okay. You begin firing commands at this locked door on the monolith. All the while, the sky skimmer is getting closer and closer, and the doors finally begin to sort of break apart, sliding apart. And it's helpful too because the front end of this ship is very dagger-like. And so you begin to sort of time up with the opening of these doors. As you head in, sensors immediately go dark. So Rakam's voice comes over the bridge intercom and he says, the internal docking bay is blacking the sensors out. I can't tell you what's here. You're going to have to explore.
Do we have like headlights or something?
You do. You have various thrusters that also have lights on them that help Icarus sort of land the vessel. Any other forward working sensors are flat. They don't pick up anything. There's no visuals it can give you. There's active electronic countermeasures being fired in this room.
Okay, then.
All right, Icarus.
This could just be the standard operating procedure on the Spire for like a room that's not being used. This is one of those possible entry points. Just spam it with EM countermeasures and we'll see where we go. Cool. So once we're on foot, we're kind of operating blind. Comms affected?
You're not sure? You haven't been outside the ship.
Yeah. Maybe. Okay, that's worth keeping in mind.
Tamarisk, your communicator beeps.
Hello?
You hear a very pleasant, sort of dulcet female tone come into your ear. You recognize the voice immediately. The blockade has failed. You have about 15 minutes.
We have 15 minutes, everyone.
Stay safe, my dear.
I will do my best.
All right, Icarus, find somewhere to land, please.
Okay. I put down in this dark hangar. Presumably the light is enough to make sure that I don't land on any superstructures in the room.
No, you don't. There's enough light for you to see through, 2 or 3 different camera setups that come to the navigational station. You can see the fore, aft, all of the different close points. It's just that whatever interference is happening past, say, 5 meters is so heavy that you can't make it out.
Okay. Here we go, team. Breaking and entering. Here we go. If we get caught, we're dead, so don't get caught. Know where all the exits are. Okay.
Okay. What's the team doing?
Have we landed?
Yeah, you've landed.
Okay, good.
Fida shows back up on the bridge. He's got his first aid kit. He's got his tool roll. He's got like a large pry bar taken from engineering. He's just like, I don't know what exactly we'll need, but I figure this can open a lot of doors for us. It's a little slow. We don't have time for the exosuit. I would use it for opening doors, but we're on a timer.
Let's go, people.
Yep. Bring weapons if you have them.
So you drop the entry ramp, and the first hit you get, really, the first sensory hit, is the lack of light in this space. All of the overheads are off. There are some emergency lights running. There's also on the ground just sort of a scattering of metallic debris, like something was broke recently.
I don't really have time to stop and investigate, even as much as I want to. So I turn on my engineering little forehead light source, and I still vaguely remember the layout, I think, to get to the door.
You head forward towards where the railings are, towards where the elevators and entry passages are to the estate itself. And you sort of begin to encounter some very telltale signs that terrible things happened here. And they come in the form of bodies. Just wasted is the best way to explain it. People have been ripped apart here. Not clean gunshot wounds, not any sort of electrification. These people were hacked apart.
This is weird. Like, no one's moved in.
Fight is just like, what if whoever or whatever did it never left?
That's why we got weapons.
That's a cheerful thought.
You get to the elevator bank that leads upstairs to where you had your meeting with Marhoun. It's like a guest living room, the place that has the furniture and like the bar and some of the main entertainment consoles where you brought back the information.
All right, let's get this show on the road.
With technology to activate the elevator.
Your turn, John.
Yep. Don't worry, this is mechanical-ish, so I should be able to... I got 2 successes.
It takes you a little bit, John, to jury-rig the elevator, but you are able to essentially come in, override the module that has shut the elevator down, and once you override that module, it's essentially a simple C-form relay to trigger the button on the elevator. Powers right up.
So, Mike, can I tell from what I've just had to do if this was this shut down as part of a security protocol, perhaps?
It certainly could have been, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of I'm not even going to bother telling the team about it. He's just like, everybody heads on swivels.
Before we go into the elevator, Icarus is going to... She's not going to take the time to toss the bodies, but do they look like household employees? Do they look like they're kitted out as mechanics? Are there somehow dead legionnaires?
These are mechanics for the most part. Looks like some of them have still have their tool belts on. These would be probably some of the same staff that assisted getting the Periphery prepared to go before it left.
Those poor souls.
The elevator arrives. The doors slide open. And when they do, they reveal a sort of collected nastiness inside that elevator, including several hard scrapes and cuts along the inside of the elevator cab itself. It looks like someone tried to use the elevator as an egress, and they didn't make it out. It makes you want a rebreather or some sort of mask.
Take a rag out of my pocket and put it over my face. And he's just like, shrugs to the team and he steps in.
Yeah, I take a deep breath before I step into the elevator to try to hold it as much as possible.
Okay. Team piles in then. It goes up and up. It gives you time, but just a little bit, to stare at some of the cut marks on the wall and their more surgical nature. Not that they're thin, but that they're exacting. The elevator dings and the doors whoosh and slide open, and you are on the level of the guest receiving area. And it was a war zone at one point. There's weapons fire in here. You can tell from some of the holes in the walls. There's streaks and spatters of blood all over the place, mostly centralized where people were effectively, ended. And then you see something a little haunting, and that's the door. The door that on the other side of it you've seen. This is the door that gets shut in the video. It's right over there.
Icarus strolls on over and opens that door. Probably in there, whatever we need.
Okay. It takes a minute for the door to open. It grinds a little hard, metal on metal, as the door pushes aside. In here, the air is putrid. There is a myriad of stenches in this room, one of which is that same sort of coppery blood that you've been sadly getting used to now as you've hovered through this space. The other is a almost scented incense. It's like myrrh, maybe frankincense. It's something. There's a pungent odor in this room. And just staring out throughout the room, it's not very small, but you get a half moment to look at the space. You can see the discarded, eviscerated body of your former patron collapsed against a chair, her head having been completely severed from her shoulders. But that's not all you notice. I'm going to spend 5 darkness points. At the other corner of the room, there is a mechanical whir as a large 7 to maybe 8 foot tall suit of armor stands up. And when it does, its arms that extend sort of elongated at its side extend with several different heavy bladed weapons. It wears a cowl and sort of strange hood. And there is an enormous mark in the center of its body, a symbol. And that symbol is from the Order of the Pariah. And the visor glows an ominous red, and it moves forward. Okay, so you're going to roll 1d6.
I got a 2.
Okay.
3.
John?
4.
That's strange.
2.
Icarus?
4.
Okay, so we have 2 4s. I am going to roll a d6 for initiative as well. Oh, okay. The way this works, or several of the ways this works, especially when it comes to ranged weapons, weapons can give you an initiative bonus, but they only apply in a temporary sense. So if you're going to use that as an initiative bonus, you'd have to effectively use that weapon that round. If you don't use the weapon that round, you don't get that bonus. That makes sense?
So is that the bonus in the weapon itself?
Yep.
Okay.
So you get 3 points, 3 action points to spend every turn. So if you're firing an aimed shot, that's 3 AP. If you're going to fire a fully automatic weapon, that is also 3 AP. If you're going to tinker with a gadget, if you're going to activate a mystical power, not that anybody would do that, but if you're going to, that is also your entire action. I go on 5. With your bonuses, does anyone here beat 5? The being, the suit of armor, moves with purpose and intent towards this group of carbon-based non-believers. As it does so, it will whir and then strike. It's going to strike at you, Rosie, because really Icarus is the only person that is in the doorway right now. You've sort of activated its trap card of a sort. Okay. So I have some successes, I'll say, on you.
Okay, so it comes at me with a variety of blades.
Yes. It cuts, it slices, it even makes julienne fries.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. I duck. I try to just get down.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I wouldn't imagine you'd want to sit there and just get hacked apart.
You know, I'd rather not.
Okay. So your test is melee combat and the appropriate attribute, which I imagine is your strength.
Well, not her best stat, but we're going to see how it goes. That's 1 success.
Okay. So you remove one of the successes that it got on you. And now, 3, so just straight damage. Doesn't have enough successes to activate a crit, which is good. You don't want that for so many reasons. Okay, so that is 3 points of damage. The suit of armor comes in, and it's way more agile than you're expecting. It's big, but it also moves a lot with the grace of a slithering snake. And it shreds part of the door and shreds part of your body along with it. And there's this sort of splattering of blood in the main hall and a cry of pain from Icarus as she gets ripped into. You hear a robotic voice sort of echo out through this chamber, and it says, "This place will be cleaned by the blood. Your blood." Okay, so that's my action. It's either going to be Fida or potentially Icarus, depending upon who'd like to go first.
I'd say let Icarus go first, being as she's just been dealt a hand.
She's going to just try to drag herself out of the way, I guess, a little bit. I can't imagine she's thinking all that clearly other than, ow, that hurt, and the automatic must get away.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so you're going to move away. Makes a lot of sense. You back up. So your movement is... Okay, so why don't we just say 10 for everybody, because that seems reasonable. And then it's going to be action points depending upon how you want to move. Fast action could cover it. What I'm saying is it would still give you an opportunity to make like a ranged attack if you wanted to move away from it and fire back at it.
Let's do that. And let me pull up my stat for her accelerator pistol. Well, she doesn't have anything in ranged combat, but she has 5 agility. So we'll see how that goes. That is 2 successes.
Okay.
And the accelerator pistol has a stat of 2 damage.
How many successes did you have? 2? Okay. So when your roll's successful, your attack hits and you inflict the weapon damage on the enemy. For each additional 6 after the first one, you get to choose sort of an additional bonus effect. So that is increased damage, potentially critical injury, although that depends on what the crit rate of the weapon is.
Let's go with increased damage.
Okay. So base damage of the weapon is with that accelerator pistol. 2. Cool. You definitely hit it. You feel the buck from the accelerator pistol, and you see the rounds glance off one of its large epaulets as it is still working its way to get out of the doorway. That is Icarus's action, which means it falls to you, Fida.
Well, I can't fight this thing.
Oh, that's not true, John. Don't give up.
Oh, no. I just mean I can't fight it in like hand-to-hand combat. What I can do is quickly look around the room for something, anything electronic. You said there was entertainment units. I want to run over and smash one with my pry bar to try and expose some mains wiring.
Okay. Interesting. So that's going to be sort of like a 3 AP thing where you're going to be essentially tinkering with a gadget. I'll take a wits technology roll for that tinkering.
Absolutely. Second there.
The more successes you have, the quicker the gathering of said mains wire will be.
2 successes.
Okay. You rip the back power core off of one of these large entertainment units. It looks sort of like a frying pan in your hands now, except that it's got a really long lead that would normally go to a wall unit. You probably have about 2 meters of cable that is easy to use. You don't know how much extra cable you might have if you tried to rip this thing out from the wall.
Mm-hmm.
If this is your plan, you're going to have to get that thing way closer.
Yep. I'm going to have to get that horrible murder machine full of blades and spinny death much closer to me. And that's not a comforting thing.
I mean, I'm a fan. That's Fida's action on 4, and so now Kainat on 3.
Okay, well, I'm going to take my spear off my bag, since I didn't have it out initially. How far through the door is this thing?
It has not moved through the door completely yet. That is sort of me telling you what its intent is because you can see it trying to get out.
Okay, I want to poke it with the spear to see if I can't get it back in the room. Now, poke, I mean violently, but I'm not planning on throwing it. I'm planning on thrusting it.
Yeah. You're going to prod this beastie with the sharp end of it, right? Sharp end goes in the other person.
Yeah, so drawing a weapon is 1 action point. It's a normal action, so I'll be using all 3 for the attack.
Okay.
I won't be able to move away after I do it. That's fine. What am I rolling for this?
It's a melee combat roll.
Oh, okay. We'll see how this goes. Hey, I got a whole success.
Okay. You got a whole success. So what's the damage of your spear?
2.
You prod it. You feel the heavy resistance of this armored figure, but you definitely connect with it. You can also tell up close that this thing has been shot a couple of times, not just from what Rosie did with the accelerator pistol, but there are some older, essentially, holes in this thing. Perhaps someone may have put up a fight.
Is it pretty clear that it didn't really do much?
It's hard to say in the split second that you're there fighting it. You know, you don't know what its previous state was, so it's really hard to say whether or not it was damaged or not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so that was 3. And now between Captain and Tamarisk, which one of you will be taking your actions?
You can go first, Captain.
Awesome. All right, so a couple of questions for our storyteller. Do I get any modifiers because of the target size?
No, the target's not. It's not so big that it would give you bonuses to hitting it.
All right, well, that's lame. And then we're just at a regular short range, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sweet. So then I will shoot them with my Vulcan pistol.
I'd also say in the same way, I would say, oh God, you're at short range.
Yeah, I'll be shooting and maybe backing up at the same time out of the room.
Seems like a reasonable thing.
I do have 1 bonus on my weapon, so that'll put me at 5 dice.
Okay.
I only got 1 success.
Okay.
So does 2 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Okay. You fall back, fire.
Can I look for something I could use as a weapon if I need to?
Yeah, sure.
I don't carry any weapons normally. It's not in my job description, so...
You could potentially forage for a weapon here in the outer estate area, possibly. What's observation to locate a weapon?
2 successes.
Okay. Now let's have some fun. So, you do find a weapon, although you're not necessarily certain it's a weapon you'd use normally. This is sort of any port in the storm style of situation here. It's large. It's some sort of rifle. You're not even really sure how to necessarily utilize it in the best way, but it will work. I don't know how familiar Tamris really is with weapons in general.
Not very.
This weapon has a very large center body, and then there's this handle and holder as like a stock. It looks like a really sort of thick rifle.
How many AP was looking for the weapon?
Well, I would say normally it would be 2 AP to look for it, but because you overcame the standard difficulty of 1 to find anything with an additional 1, I will say that you could spend it to buy down the number of AP it would cost. So it would only cost 1 for you to find the weapon.
Okay. And then I could attempt to fire it with the remaining 2.
Hell yeah.
Not that this is gonna go well, because I only got a strength. I don't have anything in melee.
Okay.
If only it was ranged combat.
Well, this is a ranged weapon. It's a rifle.
Oh, so I can roll ranged combat and agility instead of strength?
You totally can, and the weapon is going to give you a bonus. So you'll pick up another die doing so.
I actually got 1 success.
I'm going to spend a hand of fate for you, and I'm going to make that a critical attack.
Hell yeah.
And so I want you to roll a D66 for me. That's 2D6, 1 as 10s, and 1 as the 1s die.
2 5s, so 55.
55.
Thank you, Hand of Fate.
So there is some good and some bad with this.
Oh dear.
The good is you mash down on the handle and pull the trigger of this weapon after squaring it up. Nobody really sees this because you're still back at the sort of back of the group. Although I suppose when Vita turns around with these sort of mains wires ready to go, you catch it out of the corner of your eye. You catch what looks like an enormous Vulcan carbine. So Vulcan weapons expend mini rockets as their ordnance. And so you click down on this and essentially 6 little mini rockets fire out of the front of this thing. And they pelt and ping off of this wondrous suit of armor. It sets the clothing, so that white raiment that it was wearing, it sets that ablaze. And when the smoke clears, you have severed one of its attacking arms. And it sort of cooks off and falls to the floor. The downside is you have its undivided attention now, as you are the largest threat in the room. Now, normally, an attack like this would fell a normal person to be unconscious for 6 hours. As this is a construct, it is not affected by that.
I have a question, storyteller.
Sure.
Did my spear escape unscathed?
You still have your spear in hand because you weren't letting it go.
Yeah, but it also just got potentially pelted by rockets.
Mini rockets. But yes, your spear is fine.
Good. I would be sad.
There's time yet to be sad, don't worry. So the damage on this is 3. Yep, it's definitely hurt. At least it seems to be now that it's missing an arm. Alrighty. I believe that is the end of the round. And so we'll begin at the top of the round, probably likely with Tamris trying to hide. It is going to advance directly out of the room, and it will take a immediate left as it does so. So instead of approaching you or running after Rosie, Captain Kazra, or trying to deal with Kainat and her spear available, it makes a swift and hovering move left towards the open portion of the living room here, and it's going to directly attack you, Tamarisk.
Joy.
Yes, Joy. Okay. No successes.
Ooh.
It comes in a little off balance. It's not clearly used to operating without multiple, arms. And so when it swings at you, it chops through the couch that you were sort of resting the Vulcan carbine on. And you hear one potential future pass by your head and neck area. It likely didn't include you living along with it. So far, you didn't get hit. And so that is its action. And so we will move to Icarus.
Okay. So Icarus is going to assume that this is the figure that came out of the coffin that killed Marhoun. Is that coffin still here?
It is.
Great. She wants to see if there's some kind of control or power source in the coffin.
Okay. You don't have to go back into the room to check that out, which you can totally do. So you spend your movement heading back into the space where the lab where Marhoun was working, where the coffin is, and that'll be Wit's observation to inspect the coffin.
Yes, sir. 2 successes.
Balderdash. There's nothing here but fucking straw.
Fun times.
That being said, Fida on 4.
I would like to make a force strength roll to try and pull more cable out of the wall.
Okay, so much like I did with Tamarisk, what I'll do is I'll say that it's a single success that you need, but it would normally be we'll just say I don't think it's as complex as futzing with a gadget, but I will say it's a 2 AP action. And so you can buy it down to as low as 1, depending upon successes.
1 success, so.
Okay. You pull, we'll say, a D6 worth of additional out. And just because it gives me a chance to roll more bullet dice.
Oh boy.
Oh, you pull out 6, potentially up to 6 more meters of cable. More than enough to make it over to this thing.
The plaster on the wall it turns out it was a really shitty job, and there's no conduit used, but he just yanks and tears the wire out from the plaster, and he's just starting to make his way over.
Okay.
Like, little by little, and he's just shouting, "Bring him over here!" Sparking the wires off each other.
Okay. Sounds good. So that is initiative phase 3, so that'll be kind of.
So we need to lure the big scary thing over there, right?
Yes. At least that seems to be the plan.
All right, well, I can throw my spear at it. Just try to get it to turn around. Yeah, let's do that. I'll throw my spear at it instead of stabbing it, because, that seems slightly safer.
Okay.
Plus, I get to roll 1 more dice.
Sure, go for it.
Hey, I got 2 successes.
Okay. You throw your spear. As you do, I'm going to spend a darkness point, and I'm going to catch your weapon.
No, that's not fair.
I'm going to spend an immediate darkness point to throw it back at you.
Oh, I could still try to dodge.
I think you should.
Okay.
I'm just objectively saying.
Yeah. Is that just agility?
Fairly certain. I don't think there's a dodge skill, if memory serves correctly.
No. I got 1.
Okay. Not enough. So with my successes, I'm going to activate the critical for this spear.
Cool.
And I'm going to pitch it back at you.
Hey.
I mean, maybe.
That wasn't a happy yay.
Oh. That looks bad. When it pitches this spear back at you, you see something sort of revelatory, all of you do, about this construct. It takes the spear, and when it pitches it back at you, it actually uses the momentum the spear has coming in to spin and essentially revolve on its own waist. So it spins in a circle, and then that's how it throws the spear back at you. When it does, it hits you in the lower left abdomen, and you are 100% in pain afterwards. So I rolled here on this table that you have a lacerated kidney. So you are stunned for 2 turns.
Okay.
What's the damage of the spear?
2.
So you'll take 2 damage, and then because of the type of crit, I am rolling a point of damage or you're getting a point of damage per force, dexterity, or melee combat test based on its test. So you'll pad 2 extra damage on top of that.
Cool.
You get stapled to the wall.
Absolutely, especially based on the amount of damage that I have versus the amount of health I have.
That is stressful for the rest of you, especially because, well, that's a crewmate. So let's talk about stress damage.
Hey, Mike, a quick question. With that point, I'm now at 5 stress damage because I had a rough go last session.
You did.
Or just want to know, what happens when axes out their mind points?
Ooh, let's see here. You suffer a breakdown. You collapse from fear or anxiety. You can follow simple commands, but not take any action that requires direct dice. But this is the point where someone could use something like command or metacurgy to potentially get you to follow through with whatever you need to do until the end of combat.
Good to know. Just in case it comes up, because I feel like this guy, he doesn't take into consideration the feelings of people around him. I think he might be a bit of a jerk.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so that was kind of action on 3. It is now Captain Kajra's action.
Also, a question about stress. That stress we would have had when we were on the planet, that would have already alleviated, right?
Yeah, you would have had time to alleviate some of that. So, John, if that's based on any of your stress, then...
Oh no, all mine comes from within the last day or 2 for my character.
Does that affect rolling at all when you have the stress? Or is it just take away your mind points?
It just takes away your mind points to put you closer to a breakdown.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to use all 3 action points to do an aim shot.
Okay.
Which will give me a +2 to my attack roll.
Fantastic.
Woohoo! So I'll be rolling 7 dice. All right, I get 2 successes, so I do the initial 2 damage, plus I want to add another more damage because of my additional success.
Right. All right, very good. I will soliloquize afterwards, so you hear something in the chamber. You hear from this center of this construct and out its rather strange visage, this mask, this helm that it wears. You hear the words, armor critically compromised. And Tamarisk, it's now your action.
Well, if I hear that, I'm going to try shooting it again.
Okay.
If anyone was looking, they'd see Tamarisk looking elated but slightly baffled. 1 success.
Okay, 1's enough to hit. You won't do any sort of critical damage. But you fire off the Vulcan carbine again, and you see these 6 sort of tiny mini rockets impact, and the form shudders a little bit. And that's the end of the round. And so now, at the top of round 3, we begin again. It steps forward, and it's going to attempt to end you, Tamarisk.
I'm a dodge.
Okay.
2 successes.
I have 4.
Oof.
So I will spend 2 of those to engage its critical on this and go after your bits and bobs. Okay, so that's pretty low.
When you say bits and bobs, do you mean vital internal organs?
Oh, right. Yes, John. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to clarify.
I appreciate the clarification.
All right. So the big giveaway on the crit table, just sort of out of character, is the lower the number, usually the better. The higher the number, the worse number. It comes in high to try to relieve you of any sort of need for your pretty head, and you dodge just enough to sort of make it a glancing blow, but this shreds your ear and the side of your face, and it's no good. It does not feel at all pleasant. You would not like this. It stuns you for 1 turn, You will have a permanent scar because of it. And you're also down 2 dice on any observation rolls, at least until the pain goes away.
Okay. How much damage did I take?
It's 3 damage. And that is a critical damage. So the thing that's important about criticals is that they ignore any sort of armor reduction. That's why they're dangerous. Okay. So, Icarus, the question lay to you. What will you be doing on your action now?
Assuming that you said there's nothing but straw in there. Okay. Turns back around and decides to take the opportunity to see what information is in this room that might be useful. That's why they're in this mess in the beginning. So, taking a quick look around the room.
Okay, so it's with observation.
2 successes.
Okay. You look around the room and you locate something that on the far end near where Marhoun has been cut down. You see that there's a data terminal. Imagine like a laptop, except super thick on the bottom. It sort of reminds you a little bit of Kainat's like research computer, the mobile one that she has. And you see the terminal itself, the screen is up, and it's displaying some rather strange information still. It's sort of going through this series of information loops. And it has targeted a specific planet, and that is a target of a planet in a nearby system. And it seems to be displaying topographical and geothermic information of the planet.
Well, that's interesting. We're gonna grab that.
Okay. You can acquire said piece of technology.
So she does that. She grabs it.
Fantastic. Okay. So that means it's going to fall to Fida on 4. You've got more than enough lead, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Mike, I'd like to get up real close and personal, and I would like to use the gambler's luck.
Ooh.
To get a crit. I give you a darkness point, but I do get to have a crit.
Just remember how that worked out last time.
I remember how it worked out last time.
Okay, so I'm going to say that Maine's electricity is probably about 3 damage. It's a critical attack, though, and so I'll invite you to roll a D66.
63, Mike.
63. That is high on the table. Okay, so a 63 is a severed jugular, so this thing has no jugular. But what I will say is that you deal a significant amount of electrical damage to this creature. When doing so, the entire construct lights up and sparks fly all over the place. It is all you can do, though, because your mind is really in fight or flight mode at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to leave you vulnerable in doing so.
I'm just amazed that I didn't get killed by doing it so far. By doing it so far is what I mean. But yeah, so off to a promising start.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. So, Kainat, you're stunned this round. You're conscious, and you're watching most of your friends fight this enormous construct. You can't really make out where Icarus is, and your vision is probably getting a little faded. You're stunned. You're probably, I imagine, sort of holding the spear, trying to find a way to get it out of your body.
Yeah, and probably just like breathing really hard, like, oh, this is not. Oh.
Correct.
Basically.
Okay. Fair enough. Captain Kazra on 2.
All right, I am going to aim at the construct again, and there's nobody in my way, right?
There's not anybody in your way. No, I wouldn't say not anybody in your way. I would say Fida is there very close to the construct. And so an aim shot is good because it will sort of alleviate you from having to worry about accidentally shooting him, provided you don't critically fumble.
That would be bad. So bad. All right, so I'm rolling 7 dice again.
Mm-hmm.
I got 2 successes, so I do the 2 damage, plus I want to add another additional point of damage.
Okay. Yeah, you blast this thing, and it rocks to the left. clearly now off balance. There's a big smoking hole in it, and it is still sort of jittery as the electricity is continuing to flow through it. And that will fall then to Tamarisk.
Aren't I stunned for this round?
You are. So it falls to you, you're stunned, and so you are standing in front of an electrified monster trying to keep, well, whatever's left of the side of your face held together.
Thinking incongruously about the facial reconstruction surgery I'm going to have to pay for after this.
Perhaps. It turns while still electrified and lashes out on its turn at Fida.
I knew this day would come.
Me too. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? 8 dice, 0 successes.
And I can't even react. I'm just here like, it's burned. Its glowing structure is burned into my retina.
When it swings down at you, you hear it echo out into your ears. You hear, clear as day, infidel.
That's always good when the zealous, possibly AI-based machine calls you an infidel and then tries to... It's great. It's great. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I won't. Icarus, you have collected a very thick computer.
Now I'm going to look for a better weapon, something to try to knock its block off, maybe. What do I see?
There are some tools in here, some larger wrenches. There's some hammers in here because this is part of a workshop. But as for advanced weaponry, you don't see any advanced weaponry in here.
Hammer will do just fine.
Okay. You grab the hammer.
Yep, she's gonna need to get close, so let's start that.
Cool. You move back out. Collecting the hammer and with sort of that computer under one arm isn't terribly hard for you to get back out into the main room where the fight's going on.
Sweet. If it looks like there's a primary sensor or something that it's trying to see with or read or heat signatures with, that's what she's going to try to go for with the hammer when she is able.
Probably next round, given the movement and the pickup and the distance. As far as its sensors, the head is essentially what you'd be aiming for. Fida, you're sort of broken at this point, mentally.
Just a little bit.
So until someone can give you a successful command or metacurgy, you're really just going to sort of be there right where you are.
Toe to toe with this.
Yep. Looks like you're in trouble, son. That's okay. We'll figure it out. So, kind of, you were stunned for what, 2 rounds? Yeah, so you're still in this round as well.
Still breathing really hard.
Means it's going to be up to Captain Kazra and Tamarisk to deal with this maniacal machine. On you, Captain.
Okay. I'm going to take another aim shot, thus spending all 3 of my action points and rolling a crap ton of dice. Again.
That sounds a good idea, right?
I again get 2 successes. I'll put my extra success towards additional damage.
Okay. You do so. Tamarisk.
Try and shoot it again, because that's all I've got, and its back is to me at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very good at hitting things, so shooting is probably my best option.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I could think that you would do would be like a command roll to try to get Fida, snapped out of it.
I had a question there, actually, because my talent from the icon allows me to get someone to obey me, but it's on without a manipulation roll. Could that apply here?
Certainly. Yeah, it's sort of like using a very powerful vocal technique that wouldn't at all have been taken from some sort of other science fiction novel series.
I'll see Fida is standing there looking dazed and unable to move when this thing attacked him, and I'll put all my power into my voice and call on the messenger. Fida, dodge!
But you're going to have to do what you're told. That's sort of how this works.
I have no choice. Fida just grabs onto what the floating debris of a command and just throws himself to the side, like full body all in, just leaps to the right, lands on his side on the ground. Wasn't told to get back up, so he's just going to kind of crawl away.
Okay. You dodge with everything that you have in you. So I'm going to sort of play devil's advocate for you. That doesn't require a roll. So there's really no AP being spent there, Tamarisk. You're not spending an action point to do anything. So you should be able to both command Fida to get the hell out of the way and then continue on with whatever else you were going to do.
So I'll yell at him as I'm lining up a shot. As soon as he ducks, pull the trigger. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. That will probably activate a critical on this Vulcan carbine. So why don't you roll a D66 for me?
41.
Okay. And 41 is... This thing doesn't have a lacerated kidney. But what it does have is a superstructure that's going to get damaged pretty heavily. So you fire these 6 mini missiles. The weapon beeps, a rapid series of 8 or 9 beeps. And the side of it sort of, after you fire, kicks out to show that the gun is empty. But those 6 darts, those 6 little mini rockets, impact the form of this thing, and it falls over afterwards into a smoking heap of burning metal. And I think it's a lovely place for this episode to end. And so thank you for joining us on this episode of Children of the Periphery. We greatly appreciate your listening ears, and cleanup on Aisle 5 starts next time.